Welcome everyone back to 10-minute tip time, and today it is all about, well actually it's episode number 5. We should be celebrating. Hi Steve, episode number
Hey,
5.
Penny.
High five. Anyway, today obviously Steve is with us, Steve Wilson, but anyway, this is about how to validate business ideas in a social distancing world. So it's important to validate business ideas, but even with the circumstance, it can get a little bit trickier. So let me let you know that our whole show is sponsored by Platinum Pivot, which is a consortium of experienced professionals that share practical business content that helps other professionals navigate their challenges. And I'm your host, Penny Redmond, for Marketing, and I'm doing double duty today. I'm also going to be the interviewer and helping our guest out. And our guest today is Steve Wilson, who's the CEO and partner at Panoptica. Hi, Steve. How are you doing?
Awesome. Thanks. Great, Penny. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Beautiful day out. So anyway, so let me just give you a little bit of an idea about Steve. Obviously, he's with Panoptica. He's a partner there, but Steve is known about being able to develop a practice based on the idea of providing custom projects to address clients' needs and taking into account the particular constraints of that particular industry and business. So Steve, today you have to give us some insight on how to validate a business idea in this social distancing world that we live in right now.
Well, thanks, Penny. And that's, I think, a really important question, because you've seen over the last several months, companies and individuals have had to change their processes to adapt to the physical distancing guidelines. So for many, that means working remotely, often alone, or worse, sometimes with family members and pets around. But to those who are engaged in the development of products and services, this has precluded them from using the tools that they would traditionally rely upon for testing to validate business ideas. So things like face-to-face meetings, focus groups, or product demos are now off the table.
Yeah, they really are off the table because of all the rules that we're having to follow right now. But certainly, like with social distancing, it has brought on these challenges. But why is it particularly important to validate business ideas at this moment? Like, can't it wait?
Well, I feel it's always been important to discover really 3 basic things. The first thing is, does your product or service actually solve a need that people have? Okay? Or is it just you? Secondly, do enough people need that product or services that you can provide or produce a valid business out of it? So, if there's only 5 people in the world, maybe it's not going to work unless it's a very expensive product.
Yeah.
But finally, can you communicate why your product solves the problem better than your competitors? Yeah. And so right now, it's more important than ever because we're in a resource-strained period. People's cash flows reduced or non-existent, so they're being very choosy about where to spend. And in addition, our idea of what we need is evolving as we learn to live in confined spaces. So both these things create opportunities for those who are willing to listen to their customers.
Yeah, all of those points are so valid during this time or not this type of time. But I think you hit it right on the nail. When you said about people are going to be very choosy about how they spend their money, I think after a pandemic is over, that is going to be one of those areas I think we could be surprised by. People are going to be a little bit more reluctant to open up their wallets. But since we don't have that face-to-face meetings at the moment, and what tools are you suggesting that people can use now to do the testing?
Absolutely. Some of them are things that we had before, but for example, video conferencing. So tools like we're using, Zoom, WebEx, Google Hangouts, or a multitude of other options, including, don't forget, the telephone. Okay? To understand the problem or need, though, you need to have a focused discussion, exploring how people are currently addressing that need that you're trying to address. For example, if you had an idea for a new food delivery service, and there's been a lot of those lately, you want to understand what are the current options that people are using. What do they like and don't like about them? How much do they cost? That sort of thing. So if you're using a video platform, you can actually get them to show you step by step by sharing their screen as they're on their current provider. Pay attention to the pinch points, the things that maybe don't work the way that they want to, the things they get frustrated about. And the other thing is, of course, you should also then talk to restaurant owners who are on the other side of the equation about your solution and about the way that the things they like about the current solutions. Once you have a reasonable validation that the need exists and that you have something that's a little bit different, you can use survey tools such as SurveyMonkey or Google Surveys to get an estimation of the number of people who might benefit from your great idea. And then the last bit about the communication is once you have a prototype, you can again use something like a video platform to demonstrate your solution to potential customers and gather their feedback. So tools such as InVision, which is INVISION, or Adobe XD, and there's quite a few really excellent prototyping tools. You can make realistic mock-ups of websites or mobile apps. But even PowerPoint can give you the ability to create a clickable demo so that you can ask your customer to try it out by sharing your screen with them. So those are things that are valid anytime, but they're even more important now.
Yeah, you really do have to get more creative and really be a great listener and open up to other ideas. I think that's crucial. So what you've explained is pretty good when you have a service, but what are some of the options if you have a product that you need to share?
Absolutely. I'm old enough that we used to joke, there used to be things on matchbooks about become an aircraft mechanic. And all of a sudden, what are they going to do? Send you an engine in the mail? Okay. But so obviously, it's not always possible to have someone deal with a physical item, especially if it's large or expensive. So I'd recommend that you develop maybe the sales or the technical collateral, the sort of brochures that a salesperson might use to promote the product. So then you can use those tools, such as InVision or PowerPoint, to develop those. Maybe hire an illustrator. There's lots of people who are looking for contract jobs out there to do mock-ups to show how things might look. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be enough to demonstrate the concept. And then you can ask the person maybe to use the drawing tools on things like Zoom to have customers mark up the areas on those brochures that they like or don't like or that they want to know more about. So if you do use your imagination, you can show a lot of things in a very unique or innovative way.
Yeah, there's certainly graphic designers who are out there that are looking for work, and so it doesn't have to be something really expensive either. My next question is, what do you feel are some of the key things, though, to keep in mind as you go through that validation process?
Absolutely. Most importantly, you need to keep an open mind. Remember, it's not about you and how brilliant your idea is. It's about the customer and their lived experience and their point of view. Secondly, be respectful of people's time. If you ask them for 15 minutes, take 15 minutes. If you need to go back later, that's okay. Ask them, look, that's great. You've been a great help. Can I work on this and come back to you maybe later for some more feedback? Break your demos into short, easily digestible segments so people have time to think about and respond to what you're looking at, rather than just a sort of show up and throw up type presentation. If you're doing a survey, I think it's really important to keep it short. People are very busy and distracted, so a few focused questions are a better approach than a long, rambling document, especially if people are doing it on their phone or a tablet. You really want it to be 3, 4, 5 questions, maybe. One open-ended, to say things like, why do you say that? Or what else would you like to know? Learn how to talk to strangers. Often when you have your business idea, you talk to your friends and your family about it. And mom loves you. She's not going to tell you that your idea is a bad one. No one who feels empathy for you is going to tell you the baby's ugly. So ask strangers and people that are potentially your target markets. And I guess the final thing that I always try to get people to remember is perfect is the enemy of done.
Oh, yeah.
So as you develop your idea or prototype, get it to the point where you can learn from the results, and then you can iterate.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait until everything is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
It's funny because people, if you do a demo and there are glitches in it, people are really open about, oh, I really like that. It's despite the hiccups along the way.
So we're going to run out of time. Speaking of timing, but I just want you to get in here. If you can really quickly tell us about the resources that can help your idea get validated.
Absolutely. So start with your favorite search engine, look up validating business ideas. You'll only get about 14 million hits. Okay.
Yeah.
Some of my favorites are Steve Blank, who's one of the pioneers of the lean startup movement. He's a prof out of Stanford. It's Steve, STEVEBLANK.com. Then there's the leanstartup.com from Eric Ries. It's about incremental learning. So as you search for a scalable and repeatable business model, in essence, don't bet your pension money or on ideas that aren't validated. And my final suggestion is a website called Strategizer, which is STRATEGYZER.com, where you can learn more about business model generation. And they have a terrific new book called Testing Business Ideas. And so that's a really good all-around site. And those are my 3 go-tos.
You know what? I think it's great to see these resources. So, so everyone, if you weren't able to write this all down, not to worry. They're going to be in the notes right below on the video anyway. And speaking of that, the other thing is I want to make sure people know how to connect with you, Steve, because I know you've just given me a little bit of snippet, but I have lots of other questions about validating an idea, such as like what are supposed to be in those specific surveys. So we may get you back on just to tell us about those surveys and give us a little bit more of an expanded idea
Perfect.
on that. So Steve, everybody can get you where? What email do you want everyone to link up with?
The best one is Steve, STEVE, at Panoptica. That's PANOPTIKA, just says it's spelled, .ca.
I like how Panoptica. Everybody knows that one, just like how it's spelled. Anyway, it sounds really. Anyway, so just a time out to really quickly right now, guys. So if you really like this video and you want some great information like what Steve was sharing with us, please make sure you give us a thumbs up there. And also look over to your right. You're going to see a little bell. Just hit that bell so you won't miss any more of our videos. And please do leave us comments on if any topics that you want to get our professionals to answer. We're here to help you. So bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this 10-minute tip-top time video again. Bye.
Thanks, Penny.